Hello Pisces, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I'm preparing here to do your reading. I feel like I should shuffle on camera. I can do that, doesn't really matter. So, what are you up to, Pisces? It's interesting, every time I start with Aries, it's like I get this feeling of like an imprint of what all the other readings are going to talk about. And this time it has been about love-hate relationship. So this is something like it's something like, well, you know, things that can be in our environment that we are dealing with, people, places, work, whatever, that you have this love and hate thing with. Like, there's a part of you that really loves it and enjoys it. And then on the other hand, it may be something that is the most triggering to you. Like, it can really make you upset also, right? If that you enjoy doing it, but at the same time there is a risk to it. Or something like that. It can be something within you, a tendency you may have, you know, that you enjoy doing something or being something, or but then at the same time you know that it's so good. Like, let's say there is a part of it that is so good, and then there's a part of it that's so problematic, that if you should pursue only this, you would get in trouble with something else, you know, something like that. Mostly we know with an up there's also a down, with an in there's also an out, or with life there's also death, right? It's like here we have these polarities, or these, and there's this feeling of, let's say that we know that Pisces is said to be the most spiritual sign, the most the eldest zodiac sign, the most spiritual, the most open, the most experienced, I want to say also, and maybe that's why you can come in here without armor. You know, you have a certain knowledge, so you can incarnate here as a Pisces because you've already done all this other stuff. You have already been the other zodiacs. You've already been Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius. You've already been that. So you know you know how they work. You know all the energies. You have already been here. You can look through the veil, right? You can see through the crap, you could say. So when you come here, one of the reasons, because you are the only water sign that has no shield, right? You have no shield, and the shield is known. We know Cancer has a shield, and crab fingers here, and we know that Scorpio has. Scorpio is bigger, and it has a bigger shell. It has claws also, and it has or tangs, fangs. What are they called? And then it has a poisonous tail also. But you, Pisces, you come in as a fish. You have no armor. The only thing you have is your knowledge, your ability to scan the environment, and the knowledge you carry. The knowledge you are always fed with from the spiritual realm. That you are guided, right? You are guided by something that looks through the veil, looks through the bullshit, and is guiding you how to carry on, you could say. We just had a new moon in Pisces, or it's 10 days ago or so, right? It's a while ago, and we will have a full moon in Aries coming up. Here in Denmark, it's springtime, or it's starting to. Well, it's this shift between winter and the first attempt at spring, right? So we are right at the birth, you could say, between Pisces. That I personally see Pisces as the elderly. Pisces has a way of scanning the environment as an elderly, right? An elderly person, we know that an elderly person, well, depends on an elderly person, but one of the things we know about these wild old matriarchs or patriarchs is that, like, they have time, right? We know that with grandparents sometimes, at least those who are on pension, who's not working anymore. Like they have time. They are not as active as, you could say, the younger ones are. Those who are what we call adults and in the workforce. The elderly, they have done it all, right? They have been children, they have been youngsters, they did fall in love, they have done it all, they were married, they did have children, they have raised the children, they have worked, they have retired, and now they sit here and reflect on life, right? And they take action from way less energy force. Like, they don't have the same energy as they did once. So when they focus their energy on something, it really has to be important. Otherwise, they sit more, they're more passive, they have more time. Again, grandparents who have grandchildren visiting them. One of the things that those grandchildren sometimes really love is that they have time. They can actually sit and be present and have like real attentive connection. Like they don't have to run off, to care for some kind of work or something. Like, they have time to sit there. They are available, They don't run off to some kind of work. They don't have to. You can. Like, they stay. Like, they are present. They are there. Maybe at most they go into their garden and sit and do some gardening work or something, or they are sitting and knitting or something. They can sit at a table and play cards, but they are not far away. Usually they are not running around out there. They sit more, they are indoor more, they are maybe in their home more. Some are even not able to go, like their bodies simply they can't walk, or they need to use a stick, or they sit in a wheelchair, or or they just passively like they take small steps because the body aches or something. So they are somehow they are forced to, you could say, become more passive or more quiet, more. I also think that elderly people, well, of course, you can have some elderly people that shout and are angry, but most, they actually become more calmer in some sense. I don't know exactly why that is, but most of them become, the more passive they become, or the more, I want to say feminine even, they become, and you are a feminine water sign, right? The more feminine they become, it's like the need to argue or the need to become aggressive or the need to get their will done or something becomes less. They become more compliant. Usually, I get it. If you have a narcissistic father, maybe not, right? But in general, people calm more down because they have no choice. Like it's like this body they have, they can't steer it around the way they did before. So now they have to accept certain circumstances, and it puts them in this situation they're in. They don't, and they have to let go of force in some sense. They even have to let go of masculinity. That's why they end up more passive. When someone is dying, they lay there. It's very passive. It's feminine. In nature, it's feminine. It lays there. So everyone, unless they are killed in a massive car accident when they are 35, when they die of natural causes of old age, they will go through a process where their energy are declining. They can do less. They actually become more feminine. Even the most hardcore Leo, masculine Leo, becomes eventually feminine. Becomes, at least if he dies from old age, he will lay there. It's like that's the way we return, right? It's the way that we have to become accepting of what is happening to us. Right now, as I said, we are right at the brink of, here in Denmark at least, right at the brink of leaving winter and then having spring come in. We are right on this equinox between death, you could say, winter's end, or transformation and rebirth. We are right in this in-between thing here. Right at this equinox position. And right on this equinox position, this is exactly what I talk about when people lay there. They're no longer eating. They no longer engage. They're actually just laying here to die, you could say. We are right here now. Something is right here now. And in just a few weeks, we are already into the new spring time. We know Pisces season is leaving now, right? We are actually, in just a few days, we will leave Pisces season. And we will start Aries season, which is the youngest zodiac sign, the first house, number 1, or the first one, the child, the toddler. This is the baby. This is the springtime, the new, fresh potential. So right now we are on this equinox stage. The in-between, or the void. This is a time where you could try to manifest, like, what is it? We had the new moon in Pisces. What were you trying to bring forth? You know, and it has been sent out there to the universe. Now we take another round. Now we go through Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and so on. Now we take another round before we come back to Pisces again. So there is a time now where we could start something new. Just be aware that we have Mercury retrograde also on the 1st of April until the 25th of April. So just bear in mind that I wouldn't recommend any big investments. Still, I feel that there is this new potential coming. There's this new time coming. These new ideas. You could have ideas, right? But you may need to leave something behind, like the old version of something. It's left behind, and then you start again on something, right? Aries is a masculine fire sign, so it has a very different approach. Maybe you felt like, I guess for Pisces, Pisces season is actually a nice season. But there can be many other zodiac signs that do not like Pisces because it slows down. Like if you try to be quick during Pisces season, it will be difficult. That's my personal thought about Pisces season. Like, you can't be quick here. You can be quick about getting away from something that doesn't want to treat you right. And Pisces would prefer something that is calm, quiet. It doesn't have this quick pace to it. It's friendly. It is kind and loving. That is like essentially Pisces energy. It has this calm, elderly grandmother or grandfather to it. A supportive, kind, elderly, wise person that kind of just hugs you, right? That is kind of Pisces. It has such enormous wisdom. It has grace. It has this calm availability. It is present. It is invested, you could say, in the sense that it can't, like a grandparent that walks with a stick is slow. It has time, it's present, and that can be so beautiful about Pisces. But then if you take an elderly person walking with a stick and you throw them into the work field where they are supposed to do what a 35-year-old does, they will not feel comfortable there. They can't deal with the pace, the stress, and everything. It's not, they can no longer do this. That would be abusive, you could say. It wouldn't fit them. No, they need to be in their retirement home or in their own home, maybe with some help. They need a more quiet time. They have already done this. They have no interest in being involved in this anymore. It's too much, right? So they prefer a smaller life, maybe a simpler life, right? And their little garden and smaller problems and things like that. That is what they, and eventually they lay here. So they can't take in a lot of responsibility. They can't take in a lot of stress and dynamics and all kinds of stuff. It doesn't fit them. So I believe Pisces season is a season where if you try to be quick, you will maybe feel more exhausted. In a few weeks, where Aries comes in, this will become easier. Just think about it. Let's say you are a marathon runner. Does Pisces season feel more harsh to you, or is it more difficult to run? Do you feel more tired here than you do when it becomes Aries season? Just think about it. Just give it a try, right? And we can do that with all the zodiac signs. I believe all feminine signs do have a more quiet tone to them, where the masculine signs have a more dynamic tone to them. So if you want to be quiet, the feminine seasons are best for that. If you want to be active, you will probably have more success during the masculine, maybe fire seasons. Just give it a try. It's just an idea, right? But if you feel like this time right now has been beneficial for you, Pisces, because it was your season, that you felt you may have been able to rest, that it has been kinder, all the fuss about Christmas is over. It is calm, maybe even in certain areas a bit warmer after the winter. So it's not as cold and as harsh. It's a little more balanced maybe for you. But I just know that others may not have felt that. Others may have felt that this felt almost like an attack to them. Others may have felt that this was terrible. Others may have felt it's almost like the life force is draining out of them, like becoming an elderly person. But for you, this is more comfortable. Like this is your home ground. Like this is the way that you would prefer it. But for everybody else, this could have been feeling more draining. But again, this also talks about what I believe is what your core is. Like if you are a Pisces and you feel very feminine at your core, you would prefer your season more than any of the other seasons. Probably. Maybe you feel more at home during this time. Maybe it's the best time of the year for you. Where all the others, they feel a bit, it's more, usually more dynamic, more, there's a lot more going on. Maybe you have felt this time was actually very nice for me. But one of the things that I have figured out about like the feminine signs, is that yes, feminine energy likes to. We say that feminine energy can be playful and fun, and it can be sexy and alluring and things like that, but only if it feels good. Like only if it feels safe, it will express itself, it will open. If it doesn't feel safe, it will close off. So, depending on whether you feel you have a life where you can be quite open, that you feel safe in your environment, that you have your, you could say, there's containment for you. You have life and money and, food, and you have you have supportive friends or whatever. Then you can relax more. But we know with the fish, right, that if it has a sensor that says, this is not safe, it's off. Because it has no claws, it has no shield, like Cancer and Scorpio has. So it has to. Like it has to leave, otherwise it's dead. It will die. It has to prefer and has it has to prefer and have an antenna for peace and harmony. It has to. It has to look for that. Prefer it. Secure it. Otherwise, it's dead. Like, there is no second chance. So the Pisces is, it's gone if there is no shield. Like, because there is no shield, it has to be quick out of here. It has to secure and favor that which makes it feel good and safe. So, as the elderly, they will prefer their little life eventually, away from the big noises of the big cities and everything. They will probably live in the more nature like areas. Calmer. We know that there are literally been built, you could say, areas for senior people, for elderlies. Because what they have in common is quiet. What they have in common is like a lifestyle that is similar to each other. They don't need the big fuss. They don't want the crying babies. They don't want the disco music of the teenagers and the drunken parties. And no, they want to be separate from that. They have already done this, right? It's like it's not conducive to my life. So you stay away, I guess, Pisces, from something that you feel like this is not peaceful for me. I will not thrive there. I will get out of that. I have to get out of that. That is what I feel like. It's either you grow a titanium shield which is not natural for you. It would be for masculines. Like they would probably just armor up, become the warriors. But for you, like you have no weapons, you have no armor. For you would prefer to walk away from it because there's no need. Like, why should you fight with something that has cannons and you have none? Like you would just, no, I just walk away from this, not my thing. I don't feel comfortable here. And I'm not a fighter, and I don't have those weapons and those muscles. I have wisdom. I have been a fighter once. in another life, I was like that. But I know that it's actually not leading me anywhere. I want peace, right? I want this calmer, more steady life until I'm not here anymore. I prefer that kind of life. I think Pisces, at some point you were born as a baby, but I think during your life you have always preferred this. A more steady, calm life. It may not have been like, we are all influenced by this matrix we live in. You may have been married, you may have children, and it all brings in a lot of fuss in your life. It brings in a lot of fuss, work, family life, it brings in a lot of fuss, but I think eventually you get to a point where, no, I'm not preferring all this fuss. What happens usually for those who are not good at dealing with disharmony, the feminine signs that deal with disharmony, is that they become a soother. Like they become a healer of the disharmony. They use their energy on getting the fuss to stop, so that the harmony comes, because they need that. Else they need to leave. So if they are in something where there is fuss going on, or activity going on that is disturbing the peace of the Pisces, that creates a lot of turmoil. If you are in it, like in a marriage or with children, it's like you have no choice. You have to listen to them, calm them down, help them in some way, so that eventually it smooths out. Because this is what you need. And this is where we can end up all the time. Especially also because you have a lot of antennas, you have a lot of empathy here. You read through the line, right? You have input coming from the surrounding world to you. It's easy to disturb your peace. This harmony that you are maybe wanting or prioritizing, favoring, you can't have it. It's easy during our life to get a lot of turmoil in there. We can end up becoming those that soothe everything, that cleanses and heals everything. There's nothing wrong with that. It just depends on the balance. Can you find peace? Is there any peace and calm? Or are you constantly bombarded with something that feels like it's almost overwhelming you, perhaps? So it's just and now I come back to this love-hate thing, right? That the ability you have to scan the environment is a necessity for you to have the life that you want. At the same time, or your sensitivities or psychic abilities or your openness in some sense, your scanning abilities, your abilities to see through bullshit, it is a necessity for you to find the real places where you can have your harmony. But in this world we live in that is very masculine, built by masculine energy for masculines, there is only very little place. There are few places. It's difficult. Like there is a constant input of something. The news, The internet, it's available. It depends on whether you are choosing it or not. Like, do you look at the news? Do you look at a lot of things on YouTube, for instance, or on the internet? Do you let yourself be bombarded by all kinds of information? Do you let yourself be bombarded by other people's stuff? You know, like they send it to you, or they talk to you, or they call you, or they text you. You know, things like that. Because every time there's a text message on your phone, and you grab your phone and you look at it, it disturbs the peace. It disturbs this calm that you actually may need. So, on one hand, you may love your empathy, you may love your sensitivity, it helps you in many ways. On the other hand, you can be disturbed, right? That there's little, that like it takes very little effort from an outside energy to disturb this harmony that you're seeking, this calm that you're seeking, the balance, or this more calmer life that you're seeking. It takes very little effort from another energy to it's just a doorbell, ding dong. That's enough, right? It's every time you have a notification on your phone, you know that something is there that wants your attention. A child that cries, the news, outside, let's say there's an outside gardener who is like taking care of the lawn. Like it's a lawnmower, or it's a big truck that comes with to pick up the garbage or something. It's the hunter shooting in the forest. It is this environment we are in is not very quiet. It's actually very loud. So it depends on you to not get seduced by it, right? If you want your peace and calm, if you want a life that is like the elderly, it has a slower pace, it is simple maybe, it's not involved in war, and you don't set an elderly person with a stick into war, right? It's like the life that they have is very simple. It's organized in the sense that it has a slow pace. There's not much activity. It is calm. It is more feminine, perhaps. There is a need for, people laying in a hospice, like what they need there is care. So there is a care and consideration, right? The entire being is about care and consideration. And Pisces, you have a lot of that to give to the world, but only if you are taken care of. Like if your core, your basic needs are not taken care of, it becomes more and more difficult to be the one that soothes, heals, helps, calms everything down. If you are somehow on low battery. We know from the airplanes, it says that if oxygen levels lowers in the cabin, you put on your mask first before you try to save your children or others around you. Because if you are not You know, if you don't have oxygen, you can't help anyone. So you see, even though you have all of this, like innately, it's in you that there's this very calm, relaxed, and that is exactly what happens to elderly people, because they become it. They become calm. They become relaxed. They become present in the moment. They are slower. That is why the grandchildren love to be there. It's because it's very present. It doesn't, you know, it's the opposite of the phones that constantly ring. They become feminine, where the noisy, active adult life is filled with messages and activity and discussions and different, calendar plans and everything. It's busy. The active adult life is busy, where the elderly is not busy. It is the opposite. And that's why grandchildren love to come here. Because it's like vacation. It's like, we can calm down, right? So Pisces, you can have this calming ability on other people. And in that sense, it can feel like you are a healer. Those that are very busy and stressed, they come to the healer to be healed from the busyness and stress, because it's actually too much for us, especially the feminine ones out there. It's too much, so we seek the healing. We seek the healing. And if you are a Pisces, you embody that if you are in a good state with yourself. If you are a Pisces in the most active adult life of your time of your life, you could be stressed here. You could be the one seeking healing because you actually want to calm down. You want to calm down. I believe all feminines want to calm down, because the natural state of feminine energy is more passive. We want to calm down, slow down, breathe, relax our shoulders. We want to be safe. We want to be able to open and be receptive. But it depends on what we are fed with, right? What comes to us what is given to us from our surrounding area, the environment we are in, is extremely important for feminine energy, I believe. So what am I saying? I'm saying something like, if you can become your peace, you can be a peace healer for others. If you can't become your peace or have that around you, you are not nurtured or fed, or you would say supplied with something that is in alignment with you. You are hurt then. It's going to hurt you or challenge you to stay true to your core. So it's important to have a sense of balance between what heals you and what doesn't heal you or doesn't nurture you, I want to say. And I think we see it with Pisces. Like we know the fish is off. Like if you try to catch it, you sit and fish there by the lake, right? And the fish somehow figures out that you are there. It's off, right? It doesn't want to negotiate. Like it's not that it's, it puts the head over the water and says, well, are you going to catch me or not? Because I'm not sure I want to be your dinner. No, it doesn't do that. It doesn't even want to negotiate. It's a no-go. It's off like that. It's slippery, out of the way, gone. And you will have a hard time finding that particular fish again. Because it's already read the water. It's already intuitively figured this out and it's gone, right? Like this is a necessity for you to have a calmer life that soothes you, where you are not constantly bombarded with stress because it becomes so heavy for you. It's way too difficult to deal with for you. It has to be a much lighter, much easier, freer, easygoing. Then you thrive. Then you can breathe. Then you can open. Then you can show your beauty. But without it, this constant bombarding of information, like I believe Pisces really has to be very careful about that. But I guess you already know, right? Again, you are the wisest one here. You already know. I believe every person that incarnates as a Pisces, it's a free choice. Like to incarnate as a Pisces is mastery. Because it's a life of mastery. It's a life that is chosen, that the soul chooses, because it has done all the other. Now it comes in with no armor at all. No armor. And can I still master this life? Can I still have a good life here? Can I still keep myself intact here? With no armor. Like I believe that Pisces is the ultimate peacekeeper. Like they have no weapons. They are here only with spirituality, love, light, knowledge. It's the only thing you have. But you have tremendous knowledge. Much more than the other signs. At least in my book, right? And that's why you choose, eventually you will choose a life or circumstances where you can have a more calmer life, calmer waters. Because you need it. You can't thrive or even survive where there is a lot of turmoil. Only perhaps if you build an ego to protect the users. Let's say you have an ascendant that helps you here. The ascendant is sometimes known as, like this is the mask or the face that we show the surrounding world. This is how we show up in the world. Because if we showed up with the real you, it would be too vulnerable perhaps. So we have to show up with something else. To protect ourselves, the ego is known to be a protector. And is often shaped in childhood with a special expression. And whether that is a good one or a bad one, or whether it's something that is helping you in the rest of your life, in your adult life, or even in your elderly life, I don't know. I just know that that's what astrology says, right? That the ascendant can be like a mask or like a weapon or a sense of protection that we are showing up with in the world. So you could be a Pisces sun and have a, I don't know, a Taurus ascendant. And the world would look at you and see a friendly Taurus, I guess. Maybe a peace-seeking Taurus, right? But still, or, well, Taurus is also ruled by Venus, so maybe you want a fiery, maybe you have a Leo ascendant and a Pisces sun. That would be maybe a friendly Leo, but still a Leo. With a sense of aggression, with a sense of drive, with a sense of fire and temperament. An attitude maybe. Or a persistence to be right. You know, it has a different tune to it than a Pisces tune. Anyway, so what am I saying? I'm saying something like that all the knowledge you have, all the spiritual guidance you have, all the things you can read between the lines are very good information to guide you. Still though, there can be this other stuff that can come into your life, and it can, even though with all the guidance you have, you look for environments, cities, areas where you can have maybe a more smoother, calmer life, maybe work that is very calming and healing and everything. But still there can be, you know, I remember once I was with a healer actually, and she was a Pisces, and she was doing some kind of, it was some kind of body healing. But then her window was a little bit open to get in some fresh air. And then the church bells on the other side of the street started banging, you know, banging very loud. And, you know, I was laying there and I wanted to enjoy this calm massage body healing. And she was very calm and really grounded and slow and, you know, very, very Piscean, I feel like. Very, like, she liked this calm way of being with other people, that she could somehow create this very beautiful healing environment. But she couldn't control the church bells. You can't control the lawnmower outside or your neighbors, or there is something about that, even though we want this or we like this or we prefer it, this other thing around us can easily come in and somehow disturb the peace. And when something disturbs the peace, we want to fix it or heal it or make it less or something. Because we need that as well. So we can end up becoming trapped in something like that. If we have an early wounding with this, we get into this again and again and again and again, because even though we don't want it or need it, it's familiar. So we can end up becoming trapped into these situations where it's like it keeps coming. I believe a healer also, like what they attract into their life are people who are stressed, perhaps. People who has dis-ease, who are stressed, busy. They have a busy life, or they have inner turmoil in some way. So a calm Pisces healer will attract them into their life because you can heal them. You can soothe it. You have this soothing, calm, slow way that they need, because they are too quick, like they are too tumultuous. So you have this calming sense to you. And the world really needs that, right? It's way too busy, way too masculine. Or at least from a feminine perspective, the world is way too masculine. So the masculine, busy, stressed energy comes to you to soothe it, right? And that's great. Like if you find a balance with that, it's fine. But if you don't, you can end up like lowering your own batteries. You can end up being exhausted. And that is terrible for the greatest healer we have on our planet, which is you. But there's a part of this slippery fish that just leaves the scene if something is too tumultuous, that I actually like very much. I like this non-negotiable, like, if you come to me with way too much agony, rage, anger or something, I'm out of here. Like, I will not align myself with you. If you come in with way too harsh energy, I'm out. You can come in with a certain energy here, and I may be able to help you or heal you. But if you come in with war here, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm done. I am not going to melt with you or help you even. No, no, no. You have to calm way down here. It's even to the point, but I can't help you. Like you are too broken or you're too tumultuous. I don't want to touch you. Because in that process, I can die. I don't want to touch you. No, no, no. I'm out. This is one of the things that I believe the world actually needs. We need to say no when something becomes too much. And we have to stick to it to get out. And that is what I feel like is maybe also a thing that for you, like the love-hate relationship is definitely your sensitivities and your abilities to scan that this is crucial to you and your survival and your well-being and your healer abilities. It's crucial for you to stay what you are. Stay true to what you are. At the same time, yes, you are leaving the scene if something is too aggressive. There are certain things you can't heal. If you go in there, it can kill you, right? Because it's too much. That would be like putting an elderly 80-year-old person who walks with a stick, like that, with no weapons, to put them into a war zone. And they will be killed instantly. For a Pisces, I think one of the terrible things here is that you have these, I say you are the greatest healer on the planet. But there are things you can't heal. There are things you can't heal and you should stay away from it. Because it will devour you and eat you and kill you if you stay there. But accepting that and leaving is vital to your own survival and well-being, but your consciousness may be feeling terrible. like leaving the scene because something is too much may feel like it's not the right thing to do, that you ought to stay, you should stay. You are, again, these are your children, or this is a husband, or this is a brother or sister. I should stay. I should help them. But you know that if you stay, it will devour you too. Let's say someone has an addiction here. And you know that I can try to heal them. I can try to do all of this. But I know that if I stay, everything in me tells me that if I stay, it will kill me. So the healer in you can be your greatest, most beautiful ability, and at the same time, maybe your greatest disappointment, because you have to leave. You have to leave if something is too much for you. It would take 4 of you, perhaps. 4 of you to balance with whatever this is, if it's extremely aggressive or violent. It would take 4 of you, or 5 of you, or 10 of you to be able to, calm this down. So you see, you should make an effort that is 5 times as much as you can do. You can only do so much. And there may be energies in this world that you cannot heal, but that is one of the things that Pisces also has to know, when to leave. Even though you're leaving something behind that definitely needs balance, that definitely is out of control, that definitely is very, very different than you, that is very masculine, and maybe very broken, and maybe very hurting. But there's a limit to your healer abilities, you could say. We know, for instance, with what is called cognitive talk therapy, like this can be useful if you are sitting with people who have a mild sense of anxiety or depression. But if you have severe depression or psychosis, it's not going to work. Like, then you need something else. And this is what I feel like for every physician, every doctor, this is one of the limits. Like, they have to know their own limit to what they can heal and cannot heal. That sometimes there are things where what you have to put in is not enough. You need alliance with 7 others, perhaps. As I said, maybe it takes 5 of you to calm this down. So why try you alone? Like, if you already know this is something that I can't fix, why go in there? It's like you're walking right into the lion's cave. And you are a little rabbit here. Why are you doing that? Your love can cure it. What you have to offer cannot cure it. Everybody can kill an old person laying in their bed who can't get out. Everybody could kill them. They have no weapons. But what they may have is time. What they may have is availability. What they may have is a sense of calmness. What they may have is understanding, because they have lived a long life. But they can't offer war and weapons and everything. That is not the way. It's not true to you to become that one. Then you have to change yourself, Pisces. Then you have to get weapons. Okay, let's have a look at the cards here. Queen of Swords here in the center of the reading. This is not a Cups card. I actually wanted, just when I turned it, I wanted to say it was a Queen of Cups, but Queen of Swords. Yeah, I feel like you're definitely a Queen of Cups. But this is a Queen of Swords also, and I feel like maybe at this point in time, maybe there is a need for this Queen of Swords to be very present. I said that you're very wise. You carry a lot of wisdom. You've done it all. You have come into this incarnation to master something. Master a life without weapons, without any shields. You stay in something if it is right for you, and otherwise you're leaving. If you stay too long with something that is too big, you will end up killing yourself or exhausting yourself. You can read between the lines. You know if something is too much for you. You know if something is too much of a deal for you. And you have to use that wisdom here. I feel like this sword, the Queen of Swords here, these swords you have, this sword you have to be actually cut the things out of your life that are unhealthy for you, I feel like. Like your sword, like the wisdom you have, the intuition you have, the guidance you have, it all tells you when you are in a right place for you or when you are in a terrible place for you. Are you listening to it? Or are you being drawn into the drama? You have to listen to her here, right? She is the best guide you have. And you know it, right? This is your best keeper. The best keeper you can ever have is your intuition, your guidance, your psychic abilities. It's the only thing that can keep you safe here. You should listen. And I think you are. You're always listening. But you know what I mean? I guess that it's something about the healer, that the healer can only heal to a certain extent. Sometimes we know that also in the hospital. A patient can come in with a certain kind of illness that takes not one doctor, but maybe 5. There can be a facility or fertility doctor. There can be an oncologist. There can be anesthesia. There can be a surgeon. And there can be a therapist, a psychologist, maybe. And maybe all of them need to consult each other to figure out how to help the patient. That maybe one is not enough. In certain cases, it's not enough. Some cases, yes, then you can come in with what you know. And you can be able to calm something down. And you can master that. And feeling successful about it. And then you can have your own peace again. But there will be certain circumstances in this world where it may need 5 of you to deal with what's going on. That's what I feel like. It's you wouldn't go into the war zone if you know that it's like if you are a little fish that swims in shark waters, you would probably get out as soon as you could, because this is not safe for you. There are way too many sharks. Even if there was just one shark, it would be a problem. You would get out. And you would use all your antennas, everything you have here to get out. Find the right environment. Because this shows up instead of a Queen of Cups, I feel like it's because you are using, or you should be using, all the guidance you have here. Trust it. Trust that what you feel, what you into everything, like you are a big empath also, like you get all kinds of, you have great sensitivity. So this is not only like it's empathy, it's telepathy, it is clairsentient, claircognizant, it's every clairaudient. Like you have it all here, right, Pisces? You have a lot of channels open, and you should use them and trust them. You are the queen of this. You are not a page, you are a queen here. Again, it's like you are a lie detector, right? You can detect all of this before it even comes in. You can even foresee it. Like weeks before, you can already intuit that something is happening and you're already out. You've already left the party before Elvis comes in, or before, or before the storm comes. You are already gone because you read the signs. You listen to the tunes. You've heard the music. You have listened to the wind, right? You've already figured this out. So you're already gone before the attack comes or before something comes in. You already know something. And that guidance is what is constantly there to help you. But sometimes you may know, sometimes it may feel like a burden to have all these information. Sometimes you even, as I said, you have to leave the scene, even if you know that someone you care about is in trouble. Because you know you're not the right one, right? You know that you are not the right one to deal with something. That what they bring to the table, what they come with, the problem they have, you can't heal it or fix it, or you're not the right one. You have to leave the healing in the hands of someone else. Like maybe it takes, as I said, 5 of you to be able to calm this down. So sometimes you need to leave the scene and let something else come in and take over. Because you're not the right one. If you get mixed up in this, your batteries will end up being exhausted. You will die. Okay. At the bottom of the deck, I get courage. Interesting. Strength, fierceness, and family. Yeah. It is in the root position here. Courage to stick with your courage to stick with your intuition here. You know, sometimes when you have all these intuitive downloads, you also have to communicate something. Like if you know that you are in a situation where if I get involved in this, this is going to drain me. I'm going to maybe be killed here. You have to say no. You have to say no and leave the scene. Or you're leaving the scene and then you're saying no because it keeps coming after you. It keeps asking, it keeps texting, it keeps, it keeps contacting you. It keeps biting you in the tail, because it still wants your healing, it still wants your love, it still wants your affection. It still wants this calm that you have. So it keeps, like biting your tail here. Eventually you're going to say no. And maybe that needs, a sense of strength and courage, a sense of fierceness. It takes fierceness and strength and courage to say no sometimes to situations where you feel like, I can't heal this. Again, there are two things here. One thing is that you actually want to heal them. Another thing is, even if I want to help them, are they willing to do some work too? Are they willing to take the pills I tell them? Are they willing to, if they are very stressed out here, are they willing to listen to my advice when I tell them, you need to de-stress. You need to have a different life where you are not so stressful, that is not so stressful for you. Will they quit their job and find another place to live? Are they willing to invest something? Or do they expect me to just take everything away and then they can return to their busy life and expect it to be any different? Are you the only one that offers something? And what if you don't want to? Like, what if you say no? If you have a healer practice and someone comes in, is very angry and aggressive and stressful and everything, what if you say no to them? You decline them. You refer them to another doctor or another healer. Will you have the courage to do that, right? Will you have the courage to say, I send you somewhere else? Here it feels a little bit like she has certain doves over here that are by her head here, and then there are certain other doves here that is kind of, she's cutting them away. Like, no, you have no access. Only these have access. But over here, no, cut, you don't have access. Because I can't take in so many. I cannot have 100 clients at one time, right? I can only deal with few at a time. I don't want to have 5 grandchildren coming to me at the same time. I can maybe deal with 2. I can only have 1 or 2 come and visit me, actually. I don't want a big crowd. I don't want a big party. I don't want a big noisy party. So I'd rather have 5 small events where I have only 1 or 2 present at a time. But will you have the courage to say that? Like, will you have the courage to, and fierceness here, to decline, maybe family even. It says here, courage, strength, fierceness, and family. It could even be something like this family thing is about, I have to cut something out of my life to concentrate on my family. I want to have strength and fierceness and courage because of my family, my children perhaps. This is the only thing that I actually want to fight for here. So I cut everything else here out of my life that is not supporting this choice of mine, that is not conducive to a lifestyle I want to have. It's like having a fierce inner lion in you here that can come to the forefront if you are somehow challenged here. A courage here to cut out something, cut out some bullshit, cut out some, I don't know, maybe friends here. Again, they look like white doves. I don't think that they are bad people necessarily. It's just, for you it may be too much, you know. An elderly person can, you know, and this can be for anyone, it doesn't have to be an elderly person, but let's say you are hospitalized and you are not feeling well, like you are ill there. Maybe you have fever, maybe you are going through some kind of problem in your body, and you need like the care facility of the hospital to recover, to help you recover. But you see, if then you can have family members, and they may have the best intentions coming and visiting you. But do you want 30 people in your room with you when you lay there? Or do you just want 1 or 2? Like, do you need all of this crowd in there? Again, they may have the best intentions, right? But if it's not right for you, right? If it's not right for you, normally you would leave the scene, but now you're the one hospitalized. You lay there. You cannot control the room. So what you need to do is to say it, right? You have to speak up here to say, no, I need this room to be quiet. I need this room to be slow. I need it to be less crowded. I need space here. I need to be able to breathe here. I can't breathe with all of you people in here. So get out, right? I have to say no here. I have to muster some kind of fierceness here or courage to say no. To get something away from me, even though they are my children maybe, even though they are my so-called best friends, even if they are my parents. I have to get them away from me because I need peace. And when they come in, they are not offering peace. They are back, they are talking and they're constantly, are you okay, my dear? And can I get you this? And can I get you that? And can I get you this and that? Can I, it's like, it's this poking, right? It pokes you. You never have peace, you know? You never get the peace or the quiet to actually gain strength again. You never get the it needs to be more quiet. It needs to be slower. It needs to respect your limits or boundaries. It needs to be able to have a little sense of empathy toward your condition or your situation, not the other way around. Especially if you are in low energy. Like, if something comes in here and you lay there and you have no way of defending yourself, you are in low battery. Like, you would like them to have the empathy to read the room and say, oh, I see that you are actually tired. Oh, is it all right for me to stay here, or do you want peace? Or maybe I want peace. Okay, then I leave again, right? That is someone who cares about your well-being over their own. Like, they know that when you are fresh and normally yourself, they can talk to you. But if you are exhausted and have low batteries, they also respect that and withdraw, right? And gives you space to heal or to just rejuvenate and find peace and everything. They would not constantly come in and right? They will withdraw again because they see that you are not in a state of engaging. So whatever needs they have, or whatever will they have, whatever, they can have it with you. Not when you are like that. It has to be more peaceful. It has to be different. We know in a hospital room, like if you have visitors, let's say you are in a hospital room that is not a one-bed room. There are 4 beds in this room, and there's a patient in each of them. We know that if one of them has visitors, it would be polite not to be so loud because there are other patients here, right? And if you can accept that, if you can have compassion for that and understanding of that, you wouldn't be a screaming loud tornado in there. You would calm yourself down. It's like when you walk into a 4-bed hospital room, you know that those that are in there are in low battery, you could say. They are somehow ill, or they need rest or rejuvenation and care. So to align yourself with that, you calm yourself down and become more quiet. Then you can go in there, right? But if you come in like a tornado like this, it will stir off the entire room. It will not be helpful in there. It will be actually, it would be terrible for those who lay there and need rest and care and quiet and healing and restoration. They don't need that tumultuous energy in there. So sometimes we have to say no. Like sometimes we have to say, I don't want that. And maybe, again, for some people, the tumultuous energy is energizing. They like it. It gives them energy. It's rejuvenating them. Some of the masculine's energy, I feel like, is like that, right? That they get energy off activity and parties and socializing and everything. And for others, it drains them. It drains the energy out of them. Even though they like the friends, even though they want to see them again, even though it was a bowling night or something, when they get home, they're exhausted. So they need quiet time, they need healing, they need this alone time, they need downtime. So sometimes we have to say no. We have to say no. Having the courage here to say no, perhaps. To be the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords can cut things out of her life that is, bullshit or lies or simply not good for her. Simply not good for her. And use this sword. The sword is the clarity of your intuition and spiritual guidance and what you know. You just know something here. So you're cutting something out that is not good for you. Or at least you have the ability to cut it out. It's just whether you do it or not. I have the star here in the crown position. And what it tells me is, it's like when you look at these two cards here, it's like I see this one as this one. Like it's like they are the same. The knowledge you have, the information you have, it's like you see someone is climbing the staircase here, and that could be her as well. But she is guided with this one, a cosmic, universal, beautiful energy here. When you have this energy in you, it can help you climb towards your best possible life. If you listen to her here, if you integrate her in your life, you become a strong, vibrant, I want to say, like fierce Queen of Swords here. It says the star seer, right? She sees and knows stuff that others may not know. She's leading you on the right path here, where there are many others here. There are many other bubbles. But she's leading you to one particular one. If you listen to her, you become the Queen of Swords. And look at how the sword points to this glowy point in the card here, like this one. It's like if you just listen to the guidance you have, you will be guided right to your star, right to the right place, right to the right person or work or something. You just have to listen. You have to cut things out that are not right for you. You follow this intuitive guidance you have, and you go there. And you shouldn't be afraid, right? It's like just grow this in your root chakra or in your sacral and solar plexus chakra. You just grow this fierceness, this courage to be this Queen of Swords. Listen to your intuition and guidance and go where you have to go. And maybe you have to say no. Like, as I said, there can be circumstances that not even you can heal. Not even you can or at least it needs more. Like it needs maybe 5 of you healers to slow down one, or to heal or balance out one aggressive masculine energy. Maybe it takes 5. You know, sometimes if one person is extremely aggressive and violent, it takes more than one person to hold them down, or to quiet them down again. Like if the masculine energy becomes highly aggressive, it has a lot of power. So much power, then it takes maybe 5 to calm it down, or to make it, you could say, calmer in some way. It may even take an injection, you know, a sedative or something. It may even take that to make it calm again. We don't want an aggressive world around us. The feminines can't breathe there. We need a sense of calm. And it's also because when we are very aggressive, we can't really think, actually. Like, we can't make a good decision from that point. Usually it becomes too aggressive. Like, if we are very aggressive, the decisions we make are very destructive often. But if we calm down, we can make different decisions. Maybe even wiser decisions here. You have a lot of guidance. I have the star seer here. Like, look at this. Cosmic, beautiful, big energy here. If this is a little human here on the staircase, right? This is a little human guiding the little human towards the highest potential here, the best possible place. It even can guide you to safety or guide you home or something here, right? But it knows. This one knows. And they guide you here to go towards this star. Everyone has guidance. It's just whether they can hear it or listen to it or whatever. But if you listen to it, you become this, right? It is like you become this fierce queen. A fierce queen that goes towards what it is that she wants to go towards. But I also feel like it's part of your healer abilities. Like you can actually advise others maybe to go towards the things that are right for them. Whether it's masculine or feminine, that you can still see it, right? You can see what could be right for them, but definitely also what's right for you. It's very important you know that, what's right for you. And sometimes to stop yourself, that if you stand in front of something that is very aggressive here, that would take 5 of you, you should never go in there alone. Like you should make an alliance. You should have some you can ally, like that are allies with you before you would approach something. So let's say it's an intervention. You need to not go in there alone. Like you should have allies here before you go in there. Because what you stand in front of is too big. You know it already. So even if we want to heal, even if we want never like to leave someone behind, even because we can feel it, they are hurting over here. We know that they're hurting. But still, if you go in there alone, it will eat you up. And sometimes we have to back off, right? Sometimes we know that with physicians also. They have learned this from a very, like in medical school. They have learned that sometimes it's not your field. Sometimes you're not the right healer. Sometimes you are maybe perhaps part of the solution, but you need other allies here. Then you can fix it, right? But alone, you cannot fix it. It's too big for you. Or you can go in there and you can do your best, but everything in you screams to you, everything tells you here that it's not the right way. There are other patients here that you can heal. There are others that are right for you. And then there are some who are not. We know in this world it's up and down. We know it's black and white. We know it is we know there is good and bad. We know that it's never only one. And you can have this person in front of you that when they are calm, they are maybe the most loving person you know. And when they are angry, they are the most terrible monster you know. So you can have That on one hand you love them, and on the other hand you fear them, right? Because when they are very aggressive, or when they have no empathy, for instance, they disregard you totally. And then on other times they are very calm and understanding, and you can have connection. And at other times you run away from them because it becomes too aggressive. So you see that there can be this, it can even be parts inside yourself that you have, sometimes you hate certain people around you, and sometimes you have compassion for them. You know, like sometimes you want to walk away from them. You argue your own case that this is way too difficult, way too much, I don't want to be part of this. And the next day you have compassion for them. You know, that could be also what this is. And of course, what we are dealing with inside can manifest on the outside. So you could have people there that keep showing you this, like they keep sending this to you. One day they are understanding and calm and nice, and the next day they are attacking you, you know, which can be quite crazy making actually when people shift like that. So you can have the greatest empathy you can have, and the greatest healer solution or abilities you have can also be your greatest problem. It's because you know so much, right? You know what maybe would be right for someone. You have all kinds of knowledge that this is the route they should take. But I can tell them that. And the next day they go the exact other way. Someone who has an addiction, for instance. Like maybe in rehab, they are the beautiful person that you remember, and this is the one that you would like to spend your life with. As soon as they start using, they become this monster or this changed version that you cannot be safe with. You know, like, so how can I, and if I go into that den, if I go into this lion's den when they are using, I know I have to be very careful. I cannot be myself. I cannot relax. I have to be on guard if I go in there. If I go in there, I have to be on guard. Because actually, it's not healthy for me to be there. Actually, it's not good for me to be there. Actually, I'm giving all the care and everything, and they don't care about, like they don't do anything themselves to get out of the problem. They still use, like they are still addicted, or they still stay the same. So you can come in with all your care and everything, and they stay the same. Sometimes it means that you can stay engaged, but it will be the same dynamic that keeps playing out. And you will use all your energy on something that just stays the same, that never heals. That would be if you are an empath with a narcissist, for instance. You can give all your love and all your care and everything here, all your consideration, all your compassion, and it never changes, like they stay the same. Sometimes to like being able to save yourself, you have to get out, leaving them where they are. But that it's the best thing. Even though it hurts you, even though you can't seem to forget about it, even though you're still invested, even though you're still, you know, but this is a trap. Like it will exhaust you. And again, maybe it will take 5 of you to even just even the field. It doesn't mean that it has even helped. It just to even the field. Sometimes we just have to know the limit of our influence and whether we want to be part of that or not. Like, I feel like you are too wise here. You're way too wise to go somewhere where you would be threatened. But you know, there are others out there that don't know, right? They don't have that knowledge. They don't know that they are dealing with something that never wants to change. Maybe you can be the one that tells them. You can be the one that says, get out, right? It's not right for you. And then if they don't follow suit, like if they still stay, if they are still entangled in something, well, you can't do anything about them. It's their choice still. Like, they have their own will here. They can stay, or they can do something else in their lives. And sometimes we have to accept that. You know, I talked about the equinox. It's like we are on this tipping point where there is all this new potential there. There is a new route. There is a new way to go. But if people stay in the equinox, like if they stay in the void, or if they stay in the problem, you could say, like being stuck in the past of some kind. If they choose to stay in that vortex, you can't do anything about it. They have free will, like you have. You can go. They can stay. And sometimes we have to accept that. If you go back and try to draw them along, you could say, you will be the one that carries them. You become the carrier. And they are this load that you carry with you. I had that in that, was it Sagittarius, I feel like? Like Sagittarius was carrying another. So please have a look at that reading, for instance, if that makes sense. I think it was Sagittarius. It was like they were carrying this load with them, like a big rucksack or a baggage. But, well, you can ask yourself if that is right to do that. Is that maybe this other energy has to figure it out themselves. Maybe they have to, hit rock bottom, as we say with alcoholics, right? That hit rock bottom and figure out that they can do on their own, that they are having a problem. That's also what I feel like with the healer ability, because sometimes it takes acceptance. Sometimes they have to reach out themselves. It's not enough that we want to heal them if they don't want to hear us. Sometimes they have to hit rock bottom before they understand that they can do on their own, that they are not functioning. And maybe you've already left the scene. Maybe you've been away from them for a long time, and they figure out that they hit the rock bottom. They may miss you. They know they can't deal without you, or they need help. And it's usually when people realize that they do need help, that they can't do without. This is where the selfishness, the arrogance, it's peeled off. This is where you see the open wound. this is where they become receptive to help. And then you can come in. But sometimes we have to walk away before something becomes ready, you could say, to talk to you. Or again, if it's too aggressive, you can do nothing. If it hits rock bottom and it gets exhausted or it has a flat line, then it may reach out and hope that, or even beg, or even long for your help. And then you could come in. But sometimes we have to walk away and let this arrogance or anger or something play out until they realize, or it realizes, that it's doomed without you, right? It's doomed without the guidance of your guidance. It's doomed without, again, we see how your human is this dark little figure here, that without it, without the guidance, without this, without your knowledge, without your healing, without your calm, it's doomed. It will stay stressed here. And it can become angry and aggressive and arrogant and everything, but you still stay away from it. The more angry it becomes, the further you walk away. The more frustrated it becomes, the more aggressive, the bigger fire, the more you walk away. Eventually the fire burns out. Eventually it can't sustain that momentum. It burns out. Eventually it hits rock bottom perhaps. Then you could come in here. But until then, it's way too aggressive. It's way too dangerous for you. It's way too non-cooperative also. Going in there is suicide. We need, you could say, in this case, it's like we need the humans here to have an ego death. We need them to peel off this protector energy. That the protector energy is sometimes the one that gets angry, the one that gets frustrated, the one that gets aggressive. But when this has played out and they still can't manage, and you're not listening, you're already gone here, they may have a flat line. You know, they may get depressed. They may lose their power. They don't have anyone listening or engaging with them. They may lose their power. They may have the flat line. They may hit the rock bottom. And this is where they will maybe become receptive. And then you can come back in. But it actually needs them to fall over. They need to become that weak, you could say. Then you can help them. Not the other way around. And I think way too many feminine energies are involved in something that is not listening. It doesn't want to listen to your advice. It doesn't want to. I have a father, like, he's really annoying about this, right? His wife constantly tells him, my father is, 82 or something like that. But he has this idea that, and he is quite strong still, he can still do stuff. He's also, he has injuries, right? And pain and things going on, but he's stubborn, right? He has this stubbornness about him. And his wife tells him, slow down, put on the knee pads so that you are not, you don't get like after this thing that you are building or after this gardening you are doing, you will not have 2 weeks of knee pain. Put on the knee pads. No, he insists on laying on the ground without them. That's how stubborn he is. And then he will have 2 weeks after where he is hurting, like his knees are really hurting him. But it's like he's not listening. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you can tell someone, you can even heal them again and again. They come into your practice, you heal them again and again and again, and they are not listening. They still go back and do the exact same thing. They make no adjustments. They make no changes. They go right back and do the same. Then they come back to you and they're still complaining about the backache and the shoulder pains or the knee pains. But you see, eventually you can get tired of hearing this. Eventually it's like this is a never-ending project. Like my father. Like his wife, she's not my mother, right? But she tells him this all the time. Because what happens? He gets home and then she needs to listen to him for the next 2 weeks that his knees are hurting him. And she just wants the peace. She just wants the peace, right? So she tells him beforehand, put on the knee pads. She can even come and bring it to him. He is not taking him. He disregards it. And then she has to listen to him for the next 2 weeks while they are hurting. His knees are hurting. And she doesn't want to listen to it because she could have taken her advice, but he didn't. Eventually, it becomes tiring to hear the same problem again and again and again. But you didn't take my advice. You didn't listen. Why should I listen to you if you never listen to me, right? You can have a healer practice and you can have the same people coming back again and again and again and again and again and again. Of course you can earn your money, but actually, why are they not listening? They're listening because they're not ready, or they are too stubborn, or they have an ego that is still forcing them back to the normal life they have. They are not willing to change anything about that. Therefore, they end up coming back again and again and again and again and again. And like if they went on this path, if they took this path, it will bring them to greater success. They will have a more harmonized life. But they may not listen. They may not listen. Again, you will have people here that are on your side. They listen and take your advice, and you will have other people that when you share your truth, they will not listen. They will not listen. Eventually, you also have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing actually helping anyone, or should I walk away? Or should I become a little more fierce here with my information? Because should I have more courage to speak differently or cut through the bullshit here? Because I know the route. Even for myself, if not for others, then for myself. Why am I dealing with this if it's not helping? sometimes even for your family here, you have to maybe cut through the bullshit, get out of certain situation, get to the calmer waters, prioritize the real life that you're looking for, the harmonious family life, for instance. And what does it take to get there? If my harmonious life is somewhere else, I need to have the courage to say no, walk away, and go there. Cut through the bullshit. Even cut through my own ego, perhaps. Like our ego could say something like, yeah, but they grew up here. This is a familiar place. And we have friends here and family here. And this is his old school, or this is his work place. This is familiar. It's kind. We know it. We know what to expect of this place. What if you could have something that is way better? You should have the courage to cut everything away that is not right for you and go towards it. Right? Seek it. Choose it. Can I have another card on the Queen of Swords here, please? So I get this card from the Lemuria deck here. It says the crown chakra. It says the unlimited self. Yes, you should trust your unlimited self. As I said, the guidance you have here is very clear. You already know where or what your home is here. You have crown chakra already knowledge about this. Claircognizant or clairsentient or clairvoyance. You already know this. You should trust it. Trust your crown. Trust what you know here. Put on the crown also. Wear the crown. Know that you have knowledge. You have wisdom. Ancient wisdom, perhaps. You are not supposed to drag something along or carry it if it's not listening to you. What you have is priceless. What you can do is priceless. Your healer abilities, it's priceless. It's big also. I feel like here it's big, right? It's big. You have a lot to give here. But if the world or the humans out there doesn't want to listen, maybe you should only offer your advice here to those that do, right? This can even talk about the acceptance that some are going to listen to you and follow your advice and some are not. That is the duality aspect of this human existence. The polarities that are here. It's you would say a circumstance that you work under. Some will see your value and some won't. Some will follow your advice, some will not. Some will trust your guidance, some will trust it perhaps, but they don't have the guidance themselves. So they still end up in the same mess. You, however, should trust your crown here. You should trust the guidance that you have. You should wear this crown of your unlimited self. Have that courage to do that and trust that you will be guided where you're supposed to go. Don't waste your time on but we can get caught up in the human story. We can get caught up in all these entanglements we have, our emotional entanglement, our responsibilities, what society tells us, what kind of mother or father you're supposed to be, and so on. Every father and mother knows that sometimes their children are not listening and they can end up in trouble. And then you're the one who needs to maybe fix it. But have they learned anything? Like, have they listened to your advice? Did they respect it? Did they listen? Did they learn something? Did they mature? Maybe they didn't. Like, again, maybe they come back with the exact same problem. And you have to ask yourself, do I want to keep doing this? Or do I want to focus on those that are listening to me? Those I actually can help? Those I can help on their way here through life. Or even for myself, will I go where it's right for me to go? Do I take my own advice? Or do I stay in something that's not right for me? Do I take my own advice here? Maybe I should have the courage to take my own advice. Even if it means that I am leaving or walking away from something that is not listening to me, that stays in the old energy or that keeps being stuck in some kind of energy. Am I supposed to carry that? Being the elderly, is that right? That I should carry this weight of someone way younger than me, perhaps? Why do I feel that I should maybe carry that? Why do I feel the responsibility? Why do I feel that it's... If they listen to my guidance, then you could say, if I'm guiding them the wrong way, then of course, I am to blame perhaps. But if I'm trying to guide them and they don't want my guidance, they're not listening, maybe I should use the guidance on myself. Do I take my own advice? Maybe I should do that instead. Choose to focus on what is really important to me, what I want to fight for here. And from that standpoint, I now take new steps. I now become very fierce and brave and courageous. I trust that this is maybe star family here, star family, or being, like if you feel like you're a star seed, that there's star family out there. I am going towards them more than I am staying in something that is not right for me. Can I have another card on the courage here, please? So I get this card here that talks about adjacent possibilities here, that there are many possibilities, there are many doors you can open, but one shines more than the other. I feel like, was this not also present in the Sagittarius reading? I think in the Sagittarius reading, I feel like the advice was that Sagittarius should look at the situation from another perspective. Like, what if you reversed the characters? Would that be different then? Right? There was something about that, and I feel like maybe, I don't know if you have anything to do with Sagittarius. It's just that there are many ways you can go in life. There are many choices you could take, many responses you could give, but maybe you should give only one here. There is only one way. There is only one right feeling, perhaps. These doors could talk about all the things that we feel that we are supposed to fix or do. Maybe this could talk about clients, that maybe you have many clients here you want to help, but there's only one that truly matters. There's only one that is family here, perhaps. There's only one that is truly the one that you want to fix or the one that you want to help. These others here, you can choose them, but it's not the right one. There's only one right one here. That is all worth it, that is the right match for you. Right? So the courage is to choose not all the other doors, but the one, the true one. As I said, like the Matrix would tell us something about, and the stories we have, the stories we grow up with is like go to school, get good grades, finish a higher learning school, college, university, something, get a good degree, get a nice job, marry a good person, have your family, and then you should have this happy life. So these are the doors that you could take, right? Get the right education, find the right boyfriend, get the marriage, get the children. But actually, for you, Pisces, it's something else here. Like this is something very particular that this has to be present for you. This is the one you're supposed to go towards. It's right for you. But maybe it's not what society tells you. Like maybe, you could take all of these doors, but there is only one. There is only one, right? There is only one right way, and having the courage and the strength and the fierceness to approach it is, already, I think. You already know what or who, or maybe it's a place, maybe it's a work, maybe like a calling or a purpose that you are pursuing. I think you already know. Like you already know something here. You already know something. It's just, will you take your own medicine and actually go there? Trust it and go there? Will you be courageous enough, brave enough, have strength enough, fierceness enough to go there? Because there is only one, I feel like. Another card on the Star Seer here. Interesting. So I get Isis here. It says, the goddess of magic, sexual energy is sacred. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. There is only one. Will you have the courage to go towards the one? Maybe there is sexual energy here with someone. You know it already. You could choose other partners, but there is only one. Isis here is known to be the goddess who was married to Osiris, and Osiris was killed by Seth, his brother, and Seth took the throne and was supposed to have Isis as his queen, but she could never forget about Osiris, right? Seth killed Osiris and spread pieces of his body all over Egypt. But she did everything she could to gather all those pieces and try to resurrect him. She actually resurrected, she traveled all over Egypt to find these pieces. And then she performed magic here to resurrect him. Osiris was resurrected but could not stay in the living world. He became lord of the underworld. Sometimes he is depicted as being green because he is not human, you could say, anymore. He is a resurrected body, a resurrected energy. But he stayed for a little while in the living realm, and she managed to mate with him, bearing the child that later is known as Horus. But then, he needed to leave the living world. He couldn't stay. He didn't belong there. It wasn't right for him to stay in the living human realm. He wasn't aligned with that energy. So he lives in the underworld. But she did this because he was the love of her life. Like he was the one here. He was the one. Like there is only one. You can try other partners, but there is only one. Having the courage to go there, cutting those away that are not right for you. And you know it already here. That there is someone here, something here that you, I don't know, sexual energy, creative. Sexual energy can create, it can let me get the book here. I feel like I wanna, because she resurrected him, and well, I guess it is a kind of creation. But then it's like something that is in between. It's not totally spirit. It's also not totally living human. It's something else. He is something else. He became the lord of the underworld. That's what he's known to be. Let me see if I can get a little more information from the book here. Okay, the goddess of magic, Isis, sexual energy is sacred. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. Again, you see, brings me back to life. It's like awakening something that has been dormant or not active, or I wouldn't say dead, but inaccessible, maybe. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. Isis embodies the pure magic of devoted love. Isis is an ancient Egyptian goddess of love, fertility, resurrection, and magic. Her temples lined the Nile Delta in Upper Egypt from the 4th century BC to the 4th century CE. With the closing of the temple at Philae, the priests and priestesses who served her were known for their miraculous healing powers. Isis is the daughter of Ge, god of the earth, and not the goddess of the sky. She married her brother Osiris. When he was murdered, his body parts were scattered all over the earth. Isis searched tirelessly to remember him and then used her sexual energy to bring him back to life. Osiris's death and rebirth were celebrated annually. Isis then gave birth to their son Horus and became worshipped as the ideal wife and mother. Her association with magic originates with the sun god Ra. Isis created the first snake in order for it to bite Ra. In his pain and near death, he gave her his secret name so that she could revive him. Isis then became more powerful than Ra and possessed the magic to heal and to prolong life and to give life back to the dead. Interesting. In his pain and near death, he gave her his secret name so that she could revive him. It's like having a key, like possessing a key. That the name here, the secret name, is like the key to either let him die from the snake bite or revive him. It's like having some kind of key, knowledge, a word, a name. The sexual energy that creates life can also be used to sustain it. It's significant that Osiris brings Osiris back to life by making love to him. The metaphor is that by uniting life and death, body and soul, masculine and feminine, and heaven and earth, a rebirth or a resurrection occurs. The sexual energy that sex inspires exists within each of us all the time, latent and waiting to be utilized to create more life. Often our own sexual energy and power is feared or left neglected and unacknowledged. It's a powerful sacred life force that Isis wants us to integrate more fully. It doesn't require a partner to activate it. It only takes awareness that it exists and the remembering of our heart to our head, our body to our soul. It takes activating the energy of our root chakra and in uniting it with the crown chakra just above our head. And crown chakra is already here, I think. It's talking to this queen. And now this is in the root position and can definitely talk about the root chakra, to have courage to open it or accept it. In the root, in the lower areas here, we also have the sacral chakra, which is about sexuality, and the solar plexus chakra, which is about personal power, drive, courage, and so on. Isis is a call for us to allow our sexuality to infuse and enhance all that we say and do. She is the sacred reminder that sex is holy, and what makes it holy isn't marriage, or a certain combination of male and female, or masculine and feminine. Sex is made sacred through presence, through our capacity to become fully embodied. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. So it seems like sexuality, in this account, it says that it doesn't need a partner. It needs for you to remember it. It needs for you to let it, allow it, have the courage to let it in. There are many ways to activate perhaps your sexuality here, but only one way is the right one. Only one is the right one. I had this, it was a clarifier for the star seed here. So it seems like your crown chakra and your star seed awareness or guidance already knows this. And maybe what you're doing here is like you're cutting away ways that could be those choices here. But it seems like there's only one, that there is only one way that is the right one, that connects with the crown chakra here. And following that, like following this, I want to put them over here because they're not drivers, they're clarifiers here. So it seems like you could be challenged here to have courage to... I think there's something about understanding sexuality, right? Usually sexuality in our human world is understood that it is between you and another human being. That you exchange, like in marriage or with male and female or masculine and feminine, but it seems like it's something else here. That it's within you, that it's something you can activate within you. And it has to be the right, like in the right way, I feel like. You need to have courage to pursue something here that is in the right way for you. Again, Isis did the things she did because Osiris was her love. Like this was the one she was devoted to. It was because of him, who he was, what he was, maybe how he behaved or how he treated her. Whereas Seth was a totally different energy. Like she could never feel the same, she could never have the same with him. There was a reason why Osiris was special to Isis. Let's have a look at the drivers here. For these cards that you have. So the drivers tell us a story that has been, you could say, if we talk about past energy, that this has been past energies that have been leading you to now this position. Where I feel like you're trying to muster courage to follow some kind of maybe a sexual, like you have knowledge here and you're trying to muster some kind of courage here to follow what you know. Like you know that you should do something, but I feel like the courage may still not be quite there. So about the courage, we we have a past position or a past energy that talks about wisdom. It talks about embracing certain wisdom of learning, joy, art, and music. Again, pleasure. The card says, my pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. So there could be something about figuring out what actually pleasure is for you. Normally pleasure can be associated with sexual activity, but people can have pleasure in many other ways. It can be pleasurable to have a massage. It can be a pleasure to eat maybe, or swim, or that can be listening to music or playing music, or pleasure can be enjoyed or figured out or experienced. It even says learning here. That could be, maybe you have pleasure in learning. Like the stimulation of learning is maybe a pleasure to you. You just have to figure out what it is. And maybe you have been on some kind of journey here, or trying to figure this out. What that is for you here. With the Queen of Swords, before you, the Queen of Swords here, I have this Four of Wands, which is typically an 11-11 card. This idea of the perfect marriage, the perfect partner. Like this is the one you build your cornerstones with. This is the one you want to grow old with. Like this is the partner that you want to have children with, establish family with. There could have been marriage here, or at least an awareness about who this partner may be. Like, who is this? Maybe some of the wisdom you have gathered here tells you that some of the pleasure is family life. It is the idea of having a beautiful home with the partner that is right for you, whatever that may be. And you are now in this process of cutting away illusions, or cutting away things and people that are not right for you. You are looking to create or having the right one. I think that you may know who the right one, or the right pleasure or life is for you, because it says here that pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. So it's about what brings you back to life. What brings you back to life? What do you require? What needs to be in your life to bring you back to life? Vitality, beauty perhaps, healing, peace maybe. What brings you back to life? And that partner, who is they? Who are they? What kind of life would you have together? So there could be some kind of maybe, a sense of maybe fantasy or dream here. And then in this position that comes from the crown chakra, that comes from the knowledge, the intuitive knowledge you may have. I get vulnerability here. And this is interesting because vulnerability has to do with taking away the layers of protection. It is the raw truth. It is the raw inner you that is like absolutely naked and true or transparent. Like when you sit with vulnerability, there can be no armor. Like you sit in absolute naked raw honesty here. And when you sit here, this may be where you actually see clearly what is right for you. What is the right path to take? What wisdom here is the right one to approach for me? To have my happy ever after, or I don't know, celebration, or what is true abundance? Like the right partner, what is true abundance for me? Like what would the happy ever after marriage or partner be? Like if I should be absolutely vulnerable and raw and naked and honest here, who is that? Like who is or what is that? Like I think that this is what Isis has done. Like she had, like her partner here, or this, there has to be a certain quality to it, even pace maybe, or vibration to it. We are all separate energy fields. The vibration of Osiris was very, very special to Isis here. This is the reason why she tirelessly traveled the world to find him. Tirelessly never gave up on resurrecting him, resurrecting his memory of who he is. Her absolute greatest joy, her absolute greatest partner here, her absolute greatest maybe pleasure, in the sense that his company, being with him, his company was her greatest pleasure. Being in his company would bring her back to life, you know? Something like that. And it's about having the courage to do that or stick to it. Not going for second best. You know, like having the bravery to be that honest, be that vulnerable, be that raw, be that naked. Take off any masks. And go towards what it is or who it is that is the one. That is the right place or the right person or the right, as again said, the pleasure here is that you are experiencing it may not be a person, right? It could be an experience here, a pleasure experience. But it gives you a sense of unity. It gives you a sense of, like this is perhaps this is usually the picture that we use when we talk about finding our other half or finding the one that completes us, that it's another person. It could be, but maybe it's an experience. Maybe it's, you know, like finding family, like finding an environment or a group energy somehow that is conducive to this other half. Like maybe it's a particular hobby you have here, that when you sit there, it's just like you feel so connected. You feel so peaceful. You feel so purposeful, perhaps. You know, it could be something you're doing, like maybe if you sit and sing here, you play music, or you dance or something. When you do that, it's like this is where you have this feeling of connection. This is where it brings you back to life. It vitalizes you. And you should have more of that in your life than you should have of this other thing that may drain you, right? Like Isis shouldn't settle with Seth. And she didn't, right? She said no to that. She refused it. She chose even to take a very difficult route, to pick up all those pieces, these puzzle pieces of Osiris, choosing to go through a very magical resurrection and becoming that goddess of resurrection, right? That she was now also associated with being that one. But she had to, right? It's like she just had to. Because her energy too was on the line. Her energy too was on the line. She could not be her if he was not there, right? It's like he was the one that she should create with. Like he was the perfect partner. He was the one that inspires her. He was the one that energized her. He was the one that made her flourish. Seth would not do that. He would never be able to make her flourish and be strong and everything. Like he can't do that. Osiris could. So there's something about like becoming very much aware of what Osiris is for you. Like, is it music? Is it dancing? Is it another person? Is it... And what does it, like, when you are playing the music, what happens? Like, what is it that you are suddenly connecting with? Why is it playing music that gives you such pleasure? Or singing, or dancing, or I don't know what this is, doing some kind of art, or this learning thing. What is it that is giving you this pleasure? As it says here, there are many doors you can go, but there's one that is more right than another. There's one that is more right than another. One that is more potent than another, right? That is Osiris. This is the one that is the most energizing, I want to say, the most energizing. You could even say it's the most persuasive one, perhaps. It's the one that you can't argue with. It always follows through. Every time you do that, or engage with it, or practice it, it always follows through. It always energizes you. It always brings you back to life. It always makes you excited again. It always vitalizes you. So it says here, the goddess Saraswati holds a musical instrument in two hands and extends her other arms outward in joy. She stands at the door to the temple, encouraging you to enter a new period of learning and exploration. This card heralds a time of deepening wisdom for you. It may be gained through personal investigation or through school or other formal courses of study. Don't dismiss this potential as for learning. There is profound gratification that comes from this pursuit, whatever the subject may be. It's possible that your path of study will relate to some form of art or music. If you have an interest in these or other creative endeavors, now would be a time to dive right in, take a class, go to a museum, or surround yourself with the music and art forms that bring you joy. The swan represents the connection between the mind and the heart, and as you open your mind to greater understanding and to joyous new experiences, your heart will grow from inner satisfaction. Your heart will glow with inner satisfaction. In addition, your life force will sing with beauty, grace, and irresistible attraction. The affirmation here could be, I always choose to learn and grow. The music and art of life inspires me. So again, find something that inspires you, that awakens you, that pulls you out of dullness perhaps, that has the right momentum or the right pace or the right tinkle perhaps. It has to feel as good as if you had found this other half of yours. So whether this is a person or it is an activity, it has the potential that we would say this has, right? It doesn't have to be a person. Maybe it's spiritual learning. Maybe it's, the contact with a spirit guide. Maybe it's learning about the universe. Maybe it's something else. Being very vulnerable here can also tell us, I get this feeling of, now I think about the snake and this idea that Ra was bitten by a snake and that he had to whisper his sacred name to her so that she could resurrect him, right? So maybe there's something about now I get this feeling of like maybe a poison needs to be released before you can, again, as I said, this idea, maybe you need to walk away from someone here. And they may need to feel the snake bite of your absence. Then maybe you leaving is the snake bite. And the absence of you being away makes them weaker to the point that they reveal their sacred name to you, and now you can come in and resurrect them. You can resurrect together. Does that make sense? Something like that, like maybe you have a sense of venom by something you do here, that you have something that potentially can weaken someone else. And it's in the weaker state that they tell you that they become vulnerable and they tell you their secret name. And when you have the secret name, you now can heal and help them and be one with them. I also get like a reference to the Netflix series Merlin, where Merlin actually has when his father dies, his father is a dragon lord, and there is this calling that when his father dies, there is this potential, this knowledge, this old wisdom that is transferred from father to son, an ability to speak a certain language. And when you can do that, you can actually have the power over the dragon, or you can suddenly work with the dragon, right? That you are now united as kin. And the dragon lord can call upon the dragon and get his help. The dragon has to follow the dragon lord. The calling and the decisions of the dragon lord, the dragon has to follow. So you see, even though Ra is the sun god, the most potent, powerful sun god, because of this snake bite, he can become so weak that he whispers now his sacred name. And when you know the sacred name, it's like this key, the key that can bring him back to life and vitality. But you do it together, right? It's something you're doing it together. And he will have respect, right? That there's a different respect, because you, like the snake bite, is something that you can send the snake. He will feel the effect of it, eventually being weakened. The sun god being weakened. Think about that. The sun god being weakened. And then you can come in, right? Again, if we look at this card, the Leo is usually considered the sun. But you are right here with it. Right? You're right here with it. So I feel like there's something about almost conquering the sun, or conquering fire in some sense. Fire can be sexuality also. It's go-getter energy, it's drive, it's fire. It's can be sexuality. So it's like you have a way of impacting fire, perhaps. That you have a way of impacting fire, I think. Maybe you can dim it. That because fire can be highly aggressive, right? But the feminine energy can usually not open up to, like, it won't open up and be receptive to violent, fiery energy. It will open up to another kind of fire energy. Then it can open up. But there are certain energies that if you open yourself up to this, you will be killed. And it's almost like Isis knows this. It's like she cannot approach the sun god Ra. She has to she can weaken him. And in his weaker state, she can she can come in and have access. But she cannot do it if he is in an aggressive, violent state. Then she will be killed. So it's almost like this back and forth molding or negotiation, right? And sometimes if something becomes too aggressive, you have to leave. The leaving can be the snake bite. And the absence weakens the fire, because the fire cannot sustain itself forever. Eventually it dies out. And then you can come back in, right? There is something about something like that here, I feel like. And about being devoted to, well, it can be your own exploration here. It seems like there's something you have to figure out about yourself here. How to open some doors. And yeah, there are many. Again, you could have many partners here, but there's only one. There's only one true pleasure that overshines them all. Usually people see this as sex between a man and woman, or male or female, or feminine or masculine here. But there could be other pleasures that are that brings you back to life. because some sexual encounters actually it drains energy. Like sometimes we know that with men, that sometimes after sex and ejaculation, they become very tired. It actually leaves them in a weaker state for a moment. I think this can happen for females also. Like when receiving semen, they can actually, for a moment, they can actually be burned. It's like they are weakened. I think this goes both ways. So sex is not always what I would call lovemaking. Sex can also be a power struggle, a power negotiation. I think all kinds of fire energies can be released through sex. Frustration, hate, bitterness, anger can be released through sex. It's not always lovemaking. It's not always kind. It's not always caring. And there is a particular experience here that is more soothing for you, or that brings you back to life in the most best way. It can be sexual, but it simply has to do with pleasure. And maybe this pleasure is better than sex. Maybe it's sometimes I don't think like the highest high, like the highest orgasm is not always best for us. It may seem like this highest peak, but then there's an aftermath of it. It's like being high on drugs. Then there's a withdrawal after. There can be other pleasures that are maybe long term. They are actually better for you. Like they are more, again, for the elderly or for the old, like maybe it's better that way. Like you're also maybe not necessarily taking an old elderly person, dying person to a rock concert, right? Maybe maybe they like rock, but you turn the volume a bit down. They may still listen to it while laying there, but you may turn the volume a bit down, right? It's like find something that fits you, that is in alignment with you, and then explore that, right? That's what I feel like. I don't think I can get much closer because it's a general reading, and it will be different for all of you what this may be, I think. Maybe it has to do with sexuality and, exploring what sex and pleasure and, touch of the skin and sensations and sensuality is for you. But it may not be for all of you. Maybe for some of you it's art and music, right? Or dance or expression in some way. For others it may be, I don't know, some kind of learning here. It also says learning on the card. Something you study. Something you choose to embrace to study, perhaps here. But it may take courage to do it, because again, maybe you're going against what your family has taught you. Maybe you go against religious beliefs. Maybe you go against what a good girl or a good boy should do or be, right? So there could be, the courage is to like get through the jungle of prejudice or judgment or something, or shame or whatever it may be. Like, you still go through it, right? And have the courage, or muster the courage here, the strength and the fierceness here, to choose it anyway. Family is supposed to be a place or a group environment where you feel at home, where you feel embraced, where you feel loved, where you feel like, and that's what it's like, the homecoming. You may have been in the battle, but then you come home, and in the home there is this nurture, understanding, there is open arms, there is acceptance, there is healing. You are offered the right things. It brings you back to life. It's nurturing, right? And that is what this is about. I don't know if you have a nurturing home, but if you don't have a family home that is nurturing, this is what you are asked to look for, or this is what you are finding your way towards. Family is not always the family we are born into. Your love-hate relationship can be that you actually do want to, partner with something or someone. But the things that are available may not be right for you, And you are asked here to figure out what is right for you. What is the right pace, the right volume, the right approach, the right environment? Is it too hot and feisty or steaming? Are there candlelights and quiet music? Is the conversation stimulating, or is it only sex? Or, figure this out. What is right for you here? This is what I have, Pisces. I hope this helped somehow. Take care of yourself out there. As always, I wish you my very best. Love and light to you. Bye-bye.